This is a lecture from OpenTuition.
Question 4. So some concern has arisen that the board of the charity is not sufficiently diverse, and a meeting has been called. And here you've been asked to prepare a briefing paper for the CEO, explaining the importance for the board of trustees of a sufficient mix of skills and diversity. And secondly, the importance of continuing professional development for the management and board members to ensure that the BCO meets its obligations to stakeholders. And what we need here to demonstrate is commercial acumen, skills in showing awareness of organizational and wider external factors affecting the work of the board of trustees and the management board. There is a full list given of the board trustees in the exhibits 2, and it sets out who the board of trustee members are, and also the management board as well, who they are. And it doesn't actually ask us to criticize either of these boards in terms of diversity, but it does ask us to, I suppose, explain why it is important that there is diversity and a sufficient mix of skills, and this shouldn't be done in isolation. We're doing, okay, it doesn't say persuasive here, but it says we have this briefing paper. We have to say for this organization with its particular board structures and membership, how things might be not that good in terms of a range of skills and diversity. So it doesn't want a kind of academic reasoning. It wants maybe an academic point, but backed up by saying, in our case, this is the problem. So first of all, the importance of the Board of Trustees to have a sufficient mix of skills and diversity. And there are a number of reasons why, for any company, any organization, this is important. And it'd be things like if you are in the public domain, as you are here, or you're a large company, then it's usually regarded as being good practice that the management board, or the board of trustees or the board of directors, in some way reflects the people to whom you're selling, or the stakeholders, the people to whom you're serving, because this will make those people feel probably maybe more comfortable dealing with you. So it reflects society. Secondly, one could say that if everyone is maybe, let's say, of a certain age, or certain backgrounds, certain experience, then you're in danger of developing a kind of monoculture and groupthink, that everyone comes to the same conclusion, that there is no opportunity for challenge or difference of opinion. Now, to back both of those up, as I say, you have to refer it back to the actual circumstances here. If, for example, you looked at the age of the trustees, you find that out of the board of trustees, and there are 1, 2, 3, 6 of them, only 2 are younger than 60. And there could be a suggestion maybe, or maybe a perception. Sometimes these are more perceptions than real. But how easy is it going to be maybe to inspire younger volunteers or younger donors if you are perceived really to be an organization which is essentially run by elderly people? Also, the other information which is given here is the number of years that people have been in place, and we have 12 years, 11 years, 14 years, 3 years and 8 years. So only one of these 6 is more recently appointed than 5 years. The next one up is 8 years. So a lot of them have been serving for a long time. And what one could argue in terms of this the idea of the monoculture, that perhaps things stagnate a little bit. So in another part of the case study, we were asked, about the importance of IT, how could use IT, and some of these people will never have used social media and don't necessarily know its importance in modern day marketing and so on. We get also criticisms about the male-female breakdown here, where I think 2 are female, 4 are male. It only requires an adjustment of 1 to make it 50-50. That may be desirable. Sometimes you have to wait a little while until somebody of the right qualifications comes around there. But all I'm trying to say is that at this point one can say, in our case, because many of them are long serving, how are they going to deal with up-to-date technology? Because they are fairly old people in general, relatively elderly people, nobody under 48. How are they going to be again dealing with that new technology, and really what motivations drive younger people? So you've got reflective society monoculture. The other thing, we don't know how they've been recruited. We don't know how these people have come onto the board of trustee members. But it could be that the way the adverts are placed, that those adverts target particular sectors of society. And one of the reasons given for diversity being a good thing is that by opening up employment to the widest possible range of people, you are throwing the net as widely as you can to get the best people coming in. There is, of course, bad PR. People will look at this, and it's perhaps open to criticism that this is a rather moribund, stagnated type of organisation there. And there are 4 or easily 5 kind of reasons why diversity is good and why we need a sufficient mix of skills. Let's look at a mix of skills. There's 2 bits in here. And the mix of skills is, we are a charity, but obviously they are having to face some financial challenges, and only one person here, the chairperson, has really any prior commercial skills. The chairperson, varied career in industry, numerous senior positions. Then we have someone who's a doctor in literature. Nothing wrong with that, but maybe not completely relevant here. One has a degree in fine art, and it's almost as though the being a supporter of animal protection is like a kind of interest or hobby more than maybe a seriously professional. We don't know, but we could say that. There's another one here. Henry Ride. He's been in financial services, so that's quite good. Somebody has worked in animal protection, and I think that's a good person to have given the nature of the charity. And then we have some commercial experience in retail sales. So maybe I'll go back and just recalibrate what I was thinking about commercial skills in there. Maybe not too bad, but some of this is quite old. I mean, they would have left. Only Rani Jeffels has had recent commercial experience, joining in August this year. The other ones have been maybe out of the loop a little bit long, and we could maybe, we're not necessarily saying this is absolutely wrong, this is absolutely bad. We're more saying maybe this, maybe that. Maybe we should look at that kind of approach. The importance of continuing professional development for the management board members to ensure that it meets its obligation to stakeholders. Well, a number of things here. An earlier question had on the risk register the risk of people leaving. And I think we said there that one of the ways in which you might encourage people to stay is by providing them with training and education. And of course, this can come in here again. One of the reasons to give CPD is that people feel they are being properly valued and properly rewarded in ways other than just money. Secondly, we have to keep on the right side of the law. So we are in a charity which is looking after wild animals. There are dangers. We're sending people abroad, maybe to areas which are more dangerous, perhaps because of endemic disease or something of that sort. We would need to make sure that our management board is up to date with health and safety regulations, for example. There is culture. If we never send anyone on training, is there a culture of being self-satisfied, of saying that's good enough? One of the great things that comes from training is a good training course will ask you to question the way you do things as it explains new ways of doing things, and the culture of excellence perhaps is enhanced if you have continuing professional development. Innovation. We know that the IT hasn't been great, and sending people on training courses on how to utilize social media to drum up support, to raise the public profile, is another reason for sending people on these professional development courses. If you don't do it, you become very inward looking, really. And it gets we've done it like this all our careers, if you like. Nothing's coming in from outside to maybe challenge that. And maybe that's what going in a training course does, and the networking aspects of that, as well as the formal training sessions, can help to loosen one's degree of self-satisfaction and long-term be very good for the organisation.